60 seconds to comply.
I think you'd better do what he says, Mr. Kenny.
You have 60 seconds to comply. This is minute 11.
Part man,
Part machine.
all pod.
This minute begins with everyone still backing away from Ed 209 and ends with Dick saying, I think you better do as he says.
Yeah, the title drop.
Yeah, we're getting a bit of our title intro audio going on here.
And we're once again joined by Luke Milton of the Drungos, Dungeons and Drongos.
You motherfucker.
I'm just gonna mangle that.
Yeah, don't. You leave that in. I want everyone to know.
Yeah, of course. I'm gonna mangle your podcast, and then I'll reign supreme. It's like Highlander. I've got to get you on so I can chop your head off.
Oh, great. Yep.
They can be only one.
Dungeons and Drongos.
Dungeons and Drongos.
Dunnies and Drunkers.
That's the spin-off.
Yeah.
So, yes, this is actually some pretty decent action we got going on here. You know, this is, setting up the big. This is the scene we all remember this movie from. This is Ed 209 going out of fucking control.
No, I remember that guy getting shot in the dick.
Yeah, that's the thing I remember the most.
Well, that's the other scene.
Yeah. Which I dug up a really old podcast with Luke and I, and yeah, there's us talking about RoboCop and the guy getting shot in the dick. So things never change.
Yeah, we have a huge amount to say on the topic.
Yeah,
because
it's just a very fascinating scene.
Still going.
Have you seen it? Have you seen that in any other movie? I haven't.
Well, it's when you go into the forensic analysis, like the shot angle, the precision. How does RoboCop know exactly where the dick is through the dress? Does he have a thermal camera? Do we ever see that?
In The Last of Us 2, when you shoot people, they do react to wherever you're shooting at them specifically, so I do like to shoot them in the dick.
It's like Idiocracy, and there's a guy just going, "Oh, my balls!"
Or Mole Man from The Simpsons.
Oh, God.
Everything.
Well, South Park. You guys know South Park? That's a thing.
Yeah.
References.
I just had a mental image of Mole Man dressed up as RoboCop, and I want to see it.
Look, we're going to make references, Luke. It's what we do. We're nerds.
Yeah. You want to see Mole Man dressed as RoboCop? Well, if you guys get your Peter Weller fantasy, it's gonna be pretty close.
No, I want to see Mole Man getting hit in the balls with a football. But yeah, I was going to say that Ed 209 kind of looks like a microphone turned on its back. That's all I see when I look at him.
I like the grate. It just gives you that great facial kind of the gap, adding like a mouth thing to it. I don't know. Ed 209, as dumb as it is, I like the visual look of it.
Oh, yeah, it's a great.
Yeah, and a lot of people did. Remember when Ed 209 was on the cover of all the teen girl magazines?
Oh yeah, I've got a few of them still.
Yeah, and you couldn't go around to, like, there'd be girls that'd be interested in high school, and I'd go over there, and you go, because they'd have all these Ed 209 posters.
Yeah.
Just everywhere.
I know.
And they would be like, why can't you be more like Ed 209?
Let's face it, machines do it better.
You're such a Ed 00.
You're like a dead 209.
Yeah. That's what I'm talking about. Which we touched on last time, didn't we? Because when Ed 209 comes in, the lady in the office with her power shoulders is like, ooh, now that's power I can get behind.
It happens again in RoboCop 2, where that woman who's with the gang, the villain comes back and he's like in this big fucking mech suit. It's just his brain in a mech suit. And she's like, it'll take a little while to adjust, but I think we can make it work, so yeah.
Isn't it amazing that RoboCop 2 is written by the guy that did Sin City and directed by the guy that did Empire Strikes Back?
Yeah.
I mean,
have you actually seen
What a world.
Frank Miller actually did a comic book series based on his original script? And it's kind
I
of
did.
more
I have
fucked
read
up.
it, but I don't remember it.
Me neither, but I remember it just being... It's Frank Miller, so it's just like excess to the extreme. Like, just levels of fucked up.
But Frank Miller, didn't you say... I was watching that cartoon you told me to watch, the one with, was it, like, Big Guy and...
Oh, the Big Guy and Rusty.
Yeah.
That's what...
Which is
How
like
the
a
fuck did
kid's
Frank
show,
Miller make
basically.
that?
What the fuck? Yeah, it's basically a kid show. It's like Astro Boy and the Iron Giant are
he
friends.
didn't make the fucking cartoon.
I know.
He wrote the book that the cartoon was based on.
So what is the comic like? But is that
The
like...
comic is all visuals. It's kind of like... It's drawn by Jeff Darrow, who did Hard Boiled with him, which is why they have that connection. And it's just really a lot of big splash pages of incredible detail.
Oh, I should check it out. But yeah, because I was thinking, like, did they just, like, edit the hell out of it, got rid of all the hookers and the murder? And the...
Yeah, Rusty used to be a hooker bot. I love the Big Guy and Rusty cartoon. I wish I still had my copy of it on VHS.
It's really hard to track down now.
Yeah, it's just so much fun.
Good luck on your quest, guys.
Yep. So anyway, in this minute, I think what I really love... this is a detail in any story that I love, is the mundane meeting the supernormal. So you have this big, powerful robot coming into this very familiar environment of, people in suits, boardroom, very mundane, boring. And then suddenly everyone goes from, we're so cool, we're so powerful and influential, to animals. They're just scared little animals crawling away from this big scary robot. And I just love it. That's just my thing.
But there is nothing normal about Dick Jones's boardroom. Like, this thing is just magnified to the extreme. Like, Dick Jones basically is just walking around. Like, you know how the scientists are smiling in the background, like, oh, look what we did. And Dick Jones just doesn't, like, he's going, I've got your solution. I'm going to make you money. This is all amazing. He doesn't have a smile in him. He's just like, don't fuck with me. He doesn't just, like, get out a prop gun or anything like that. He's got this...
He pulls out a Desert Eagle!
He's got this velvet case with the most giant silver gun, and no one
Dirty
questions
Harry
it.
gun.
Like, oh, yeah. Oh, no, that's Dick's gun. Like, yeah.
So that is a Desert Eagle 50 caliber, and most people would know that as the gun that Arnold Schwarzenegger popularized in the movie Last Action Hero.
Oh,
that is the titular big gun from like the God, what band was that? Was it AC/DC with Ice-T or something like that? Something ridiculous.
Isn't it ironic that that movie popularized the gun, but he couldn't popularize the movie?
The movie. I like that film. It's trash, but I enjoyed it.
That movie deserves better. Oh my god, like, what's his name? Charles Dance.
Yes!
Perfection. Yes.
Yeah.
I have shot a man.
What about Charles Dance in The Golden Child?
Oh yes! I forgot he was in that. He was brilliant in that.
What about Charles Dance in Ali G in the House?
Yeah.
I've not seen that one.
Yeah.
How about just Charles Dance? We can just... This is turning into a Charles Dance appreciation hour. What
about Charles in Charge, but the Charles is Charles Dance?
Yes.
Oh, you're a lot better than Scott Baio, yes.
Yeah. What about Scott Baio, but he lives in the Bayou?
Bayou, yes.
Bayou, yeah.
What if it's Scott Baio, but he's playing Scott Summers?
No.
Because then we can hate him even more.
Don't like it.
What if Scott Bakula, but it was Scott Lang, and fuck, I've run out of Scots.
There's too many Scots.
But the other guy from Charles in Charge became Bible Man.
Bible Man,
God.
yes!
Oh, I forgot about that.
Good bad movie night. That's a great choice of that.
Do you remember in the 80s when Frank Miller wrote that? Like, he did the RoboCop versus Terminator comics.
Yeah.
But then he did the RoboCop versus Bible Man comics. Do you remember that?
No.
Wait, is there...
Yeah, they're amazing.
Really?
Yeah.
I wish this existed. No. I wish this existed.
Two great actors with great chins just going at it.
I've seen some of those Bible Man costumes, and part of me is like, no, and part of me is like, I kind of want to cosplay as that because they're a bit ridiculous.
Yeah, be Bible Man. Spread the word. Do it.
Bible Man.
I think the Bible has enough people spreading the word. They don't need me.
But people like a hero. They like a visual. They like a symbol.
God, I'm just looking at the costume now. Oh, wowie. And now they've done like a CGI one that kind of looks like the Disney Infinity characters, but like not as good. And wowie,
His parents were killed, and someone threw a Bible through his window. No, they didn't even do that. He was in a hotel. He found the Bible in a drawer. I need a symbol.
He was trying to find something to snort cocaine from, and he found a Bible. That actually probably explains the actor more than the story ever, though.
Speaking of cocaine,
Cocaine?
good old, what's his face in this movie? Bob?
So, I must apologise. So, last minute I made the assertion that it was the old man picking his nose when it was Bob Morton. No, it's in this minute when the old man's picking his nose.
Yeah, or scratching at his nose.
He scratches. He doesn't. Yeah, he scratches his under his eye.
Yeah, I know. I just
with 2 fingers. But yeah, Bob, he looks coked out in this scene. Everybody else is like, oh, a robot. And he's just like, what's happening?
Maybe this is because Bob Morton knows that, at the Ed 209 project is, well, utter pants. You gotta remember that the three, Morton, Johnson, and Kenny, are all young executives in security concepts. And Morton seems to be more on the ball than anyone else. That's probably projection. But yeah, Coke is probably a lot more of a reasonable explanation.
Oh yeah, I just think he's just totally out of it in this scene. And Kenny, Jesus, look at this guy. I mean, Kenny's just the I
can't believe it's not Paul Reiser.
Most obvious fall guy in the whole thing. He's like, if you were doing the remake now, you would have Tom Kenny, the voice of SpongeBob SquarePants, in this role, doing the SpongeBob voice.
Oh, that would be amazing.
And he wouldn't just point the gun at Dick, he'd stick it in his nostril.
Oh,
shoot it into the air a couple of times.
Fuck, the remake. It could have gone places, done things no one would have expected. God damn it.
Well, okay, so in the in minute 9 of the remake is when we get the Ed 209 malfunction, which is completely ruined in the remake because, it's cut short because they don't even have half the classic lines. They just go, oh, this boy's got a knife. I'm just going to shoot him 50,000 times. So they don't do anything about the whole fact that it was caught live on television and oh yeah, we're just going to completely skip past the fact that there was robot homicide.
The first 10 minutes of RoboCop, the remake, may as well just not have happened. They don't impact the plot in any way.
It doesn't do anything.
Yeah, I will give it credit, though. The designs for the robots, nowadays it's all freaking too many pieces, too complicated. Transformers, basically. Yeah. And, yeah, no, the Ed 209 just looks... It's fine. It's okay. It's not as much fun as this one.
It looks like the classic 829, just someone took to it with an angle grinder and just sharpened up those edges.
Yeah. Made it pointier.
I think they gave them warp nacelles for arms instead of guns.
Well, shit. It's exactly what I was hoping to spare you from.
Because they're kind of poddy.
Bit poddy, yes.
Not this kind of pod, a different kind of pod.
Sorry, you started talking about the remake and I spaced out.
No, we'll get to gaslighting in a tick.
My one little observation was that when everyone calms down and they think, oh well, this thing's not dangerous. Morton pushes Johnson away I'm scared, I'm fine.
There is some great acting in this scene, just those subtle things, throughout the entire boardroom scene, you really get a feel of just almost how much of a piece of shit Bob Morton is, even though he's technically our good guy.
He's kind of our point of view character in this scene, yeah.
Yeah, but I think that's just a subtle nod to, all people in corporate America are pieces of shit.
I would love to do a compilation of all the bad extras acting that I've seen over the years on TV. So in this scene, everyone is in character. There's all these little details. They're really selling it. I think they're doing a good job. But there are so many times where I've seen extras and they've always been told, act angry. And they're acting furious and they're just mugging for the camera. That was the take you went with. Okay. Jesus Christ.
Well, the problem with things like that is nobody's usually caught it in at any step. People are focused on the protagonist, or maybe it's just they couldn't use it because the alternate cut had, there was a gaff or something else. So it's usually that's an editing issue. You just can't cut some people out if they're not, unless it's not technically bad.
Just edit them out digitally in post.
Yeah, that's when you get into bloody what's his face, Ridley Scott levels of just no. I'm just gonna completely digitally remove this thing and then just add shit on top of it.
Yeah.
And then I'll make a final cut 30 years later.
Seeing as how you guys seem open to tangents, here's a
Yes.
fun exercise you can do for some background acting. Is
Go on.
if you've seen Space Force, and I haven't seen all of it,
Space Force. Is that the one
But
with
Steve Carell on
Oh,
Netflix or whatever, and there's the court scene, and Ben Schwartz is in the background, and he's supposed to be just doing like working stuff, but because he's Ben Schwartz, like it's impossible not to watch anything but Ben Schwartz over Steve Carell's shoulder, and because of continuity in the way that like he's constantly trying to look busy, like I'm thinking about something, I'm writing some notes, I'm doing whatever, but because it keeps cutting back and forth between Carell and the guy he's talking to, Ben Schwartz seems to just be teleporting around into all these different thinking poses. It's like crazy.
I love it when that happens.
Yeah, I love when it's like, it's deliberate, just go for it.
Like he just can't keep still. Which is why he had to play Sonic the Hedgehog, because he's so fast.
Gotta go fast.
Gotta go. Damn it, beat me to it. I was obviously too slow.
Exactly, I'm the fastest.
Release the original cut. I want to see terrible CGI. Actually, I think I didn't hate CGI Sonic design, but man,
It's a real shame that we cannot alter assets in movies the way we can in games, because my god, the fun we could have.
Okay, the thing with Sonic is like
Sonic.
someone at Sega had to approve that. And why? I want to know if they kept their job. Because damn.
Happens all the time, man. Like in the
Yeah.
RoboCop remake. So, gaslighting RoboCop.
Oh, so before we get to gaslighting, I do
yeah?
have some
You
quick
ruined my
commentary. Oh,
segue, you son of a bitch.
Yeah,
Fuck.
I know, but I have commentary.
Oh, he ruined my podcast name earlier, this guy.
Concert professional.
Yeah. I'm just trying to assassinate you guys like a robot ninja from RoboCop 3.
Hey, Luke, do you want a mutiny?
Yeah. And can we make it...
What was that? Say muted, but no.
And let's keep the podcast to like, I don't know, like a solid 6 minutes. I think that's good. That's still a 600% return.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say like let's make it a 1-minute podcast. Hello and goodbye.
Yes.
No, the reason why this bit is actually pretty funny about the commentary is because so Paul Verhoeven was asked what happened to get him involved, and he said it was a request from Barbara Boyce, who is the assistant to Mike Medovy, who is the co-founder of Orion Pictures. But then his first reaction to the script is, and I quote, "I thought it was a piece of shit."
Well, it would have been. It's called RoboCop, and it's about a robot cop.
Yep.
He wouldn't have thought it was an act of work of genius.
Well, this is the thing. A lot of people thought this script was utter trash. It's in the next minute, but so spoilers for the next minute's commentary. It was actually his wife that persuaded Verhoeven to actually take another look at it, and she's probably more responsible for Verhoeven than Verhoeven himself for actually getting him on board.
So, was there anything in the novelization about this scene?
Yeah, so I don't want to bring any traumatic details of podcast past for you, Luke, but I do have the novelization for this.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so this is, 3 minutes worth of scene? Sorry, between beginning of this scene and the end, it's about 4 or 5 minutes worth of scene. It's 1.5 pages in the book, and it's nothing.
Huh.
It's like one of the best moments in the entire book, and it's just like, yeah, they go into a boardroom, Ed and comes in, and they're dead.
Yeah.
I guess that's the thing is when you're just reading the script, you can't tell what those... Well, I mean, sometimes you can, but other times I guess you're not really picking up on how iconic this scene will be or how it's going to be presented on screen.
Or how much of a meal the director's going to end up making out of it. Like, you don't
Yeah.
know what's going to appeal to them. And
Yeah.
I mean, oh, God, for me to get drawn back into novelization talk
It was our plan all along.
is frightening.
I know.
I don't want to drop all this hard info on everybody, but, it's like fucking the Alien novelization where he doesn't realize it's got an alien in it.
No, it's all about that goddamn catagonist.
You know, like, you just don't know what's going to happen. They don't see the film, and
No.
and that's interesting, actually. Like, when to say that after talking about Verhoeven, because you can then sort of see that the novelizationist has looked at this script and gone, okay, and not seen the potential of the scene, and it's really Verhoeven's love of excess and dark humor and all that sort of stuff that makes RoboCop not just a shit, genre movie that was forgettable. And you can see what he brings to it.
That's the crazy thing. This novelization is actually darker. Like the characters are more arsehole-ish. It's like, what the hell? Like, is this the writer just injecting some shit into this, or is this like, wow, this script was originally a lot more fucking nasty? Because I
don't know.
RoboCop's perving on Lewis is just like, we know from direct from the filmmakers, they deliberately desexualized Lewis to make him more of a match to Murphy.
Yeah, did they?
Oh, yeah, but writers are always doing that, especially novelizations writers, because they're people that get paid about $5,000 per book, which means to have a decent living wage, you've got to churn out how many of these fucking things a year, and you're lonely and you're greasy and you're thinking about boobs all the time.
And grease-proof pockets.
Did they put the script out? Is that something we can actually read?
I'm still trying to find it. Apparently it exists somewhere, but I've not seen it online. I've seen people who have just done direct transcripts of the movie, and that's useless. Because I'm looking on the Wikipedia, and they're saying there's about 4 or 5 different versions of the script, but they don't link them. So it could just be that thing where the nerds are hoarding them for their own little means.
No, but I mean, that would be the same with every film. There'd be lots of versions of the script that would never be available to the public. And you certainly don't know.
I wish they would, though, because I'm doing Tron Legacy, and I would love to read the original script for that, because apparently it is very strange and very different.
But you can understand why they don't as well, in the sense that, one, ideas get dredged up again, and they paid for these ideas, whether they use them or not. They might use them again in the future. But also,
which is what happened with the Alien prequels.
It's just the fact that I don't think they generally want all these different writers that they've paid to start looking too much into, well, this is mine and this is yours and this is this and this is that, or this was better or this wasn't. Like, I just think that's a whole lot of hassle for people.
Yeah, it's like the common Hollywood thing is now you get like the person who write the script, maybe it's 1 or 2 people. Then you get people who revise the scripts, and that might be 1 or 2 people. And then you get people who edit this. A modern day Hollywood blockbuster has a minimum of 5 writers and like 10 scripts. I mean, revisions are a thing.
But it's even more hardcore than that, because when they, in a lot of cases, someone can be paid to do it and write a draft and be part of all this process. You're part of this movie. You're going to make this movie. You're all excited about it. And then they can just suddenly stop contacting you and just hire somebody else to do it. Like, people just suddenly get dropped off these things. And there's no big capitalist machine reason to keep that person in the loop or paid or credited or anything else. They just go on to the next one.
Well, and a lot of professional writers don't. I'm not say they don't particularly care unless it's like their baby project, but like a lot of staff hires, like just people are just hired to do a project. Work for hire? That's the term I'm looking for. They don't give a shit. They're just getting paid. One of my favorite ones is John Rogers. He's the showrunner and co-creator of one of my favorite TV shows, Leverage, and they're doing another series. And he famously wrote the first draft of Catwoman. He still gets royalty checks, and I don't believe like 10% of his original script ended up on screen. So they get paid regardless, and they're just like, yep, it was a job.
Yeah, there's another podcast that I really love called Best Movies Ever Made, and they had on the guy who wrote Battlefield Earth, and he was just this up and coming writer. He'd never gotten, he'd written heaps of stuff, but nothing had ever actually been made, and that was the thing that actually had his name on it, and so that kind of ruined his career a little bit. Even though they didn't even use anything that he initially wrote. A lot of people just don't understand how writing in Hollywood actually works.
I always say this, making movies is a collaborative effort, and so a writer sometimes isn't responsible. I mean, sometimes the director isn't responsible if they get overruled by a producer and kicked off a project. There's no one consistent way a movie's made from start to finish. They're all their own beasts, essentially.
They're all beautiful snowflakes.
Exactly, even the terrible ones.
Sort of.
Except that ship I won't talk about. I won't talk about that movie.
Speaking of shit, Gaslighting RoboCop, the segment where we talk about the shitty 2014 remake.
Is it gaslighting because all the methane coming off the shit?
Yeah.
Alex, how do you feel? I feel fine, Dr. Norton.
So Murphy's talking to the chief alone and ends with this flashback, and it's fucking cringe. And like they're trying to get guns from these, gangsters, and it's all this fake ass hood speak, and it's not convincing at all. And they pull the old, I know you're a cop, but what am I routine, where Alex Murphy is just like, are you a cop, man? Are you a fucking cop? No, man, I'm not a cop. Oh, I bet he's a fucking cop.
I love that he pulls out two guns, and he's holding them both gangster style. It's like, man,
oh my god, yeah.
So my one line is, Murphy is a narc, a particularly bad one.
Absolutely, this is cartoon bullshit. I mean, that's, in cartoons especially, but on TV shows generally, is people are really bad at lying. You can tell when they're lying, but apparently no other character can.
So the gun in the case is a military gun. I'm trying to think what it's called. I think it's an AR N249. Is it the N249? It's a fairly bog standard gun. Then they're making it out to be like this high-end weaponry. And the funny thing is, it's a military. Sorry, it's the FN-P90, which is basically a submachine gun.
Didn't they use P90s in Stargate?
That's exactly how I had to look up the name. I had to go to a Stargate wiki because it's exactly.
Yeah, it's a very unusual looking, kind of futuristic looking gun, but it's real.
But it's common as dirt, realistically speaking. Although they should be in the future when they're doing. It's like, I'm sorry, drug runners are probably not going to get this kind of hardware just because, there's better guns out there, and they're cheaper as well. I think it's supposed to be setting up some sort of connection to OCP, but I don't recall it ever getting paid off. So
yeah, no, this doesn't seem to connect to anything. We'll see as we get further into it. But many plot lines get picked up and dropped off and just never spoken of again.
Yep, that's this movie to a T.
All right. Does anyone have any more notes?
So there is a sculpture that Ed Newmeyer. I think it's Ed Newmeyer points out, or is it John? That's the problem. Most of these voices sound exactly the same, except for Paul Verhoeven, because he's mad and brilliant. There's an actual crow sculpture behind the old man in the one scene.
I wondered what that was.
That gets pointed out.
Yeah, I was curious about that, yeah.
It's designed by the production designer William Sandel. That's one of those background details where you don't notice it. I hate to say it, but you don't notice it, and then you look at it and go, actually, that feels like the frame really nice. If they'd just not put anything there in that shot, it would have been kind of boring.
I know, I did find my eyes drawn to it. It almost looks like...
It's almost like, a vulture that's...
Yeah.
Over the old man.
It's very angular. And there's another one, there's a lightning bolt sculpture to the right of it. And it's just... Yeah, these very sharp, severe shapes, I think, do convey something subconsciously.
The old man is the vulture. He's the bird. He's the hawk watching over the proceedings.
Yes. Yeah. All right, that about covers it. Thank you, Luke. Where can we find you?
You can find me at dungeonsanddrongos.com. Come and listen to my Dungeons & Dragons set in fantasy Australia improv comedy live thingy podcast. It's a lot of fun, lots of episodes. You will enjoy it.
There's too many episodes, I can't keep up, but it's great.
Listen, go on this giant adventure.
Yeah. And you can find me at traviandesigns.com and patreon.com/traviandesigns, TRAVIAN, where you can get Prometheus by a Minute, Alien Covenant, and Tron Legacy, all as Movies by a Minute podcasts.
And I suppose you can find me at Fanboy Crossings on the YouTubes and the Facebooks, where I do Kung Pao Enter the Minute. About some, stupid, obscure comedy movie. Yeah, you've never listened to it. Be honest. I idea of Patreon, idea of Ko-Fi, but more importantly, please, like, share, subscribe to this on whatever it is, on SoundCloud. It's on Simplecast for the audio, and Apple. We got Apple now. Spotify, Google, and we also have this up on YouTube. So please share and enjoy.
Yeah, so spread the word, spread your legs, Robocock.
Wow.